All right, guys, it's Ed here from Metric Mogul. Now, there's been quite a lot of confusion about what Data Layer Doctor does, and I haven't actually updated this software in a while, so I just wanted to clear up some confusion. First of all, Data Layer Doctor is essentially about creating documentation for developers so that they can quickly implement a data layer on your site. And if you've been reading up in the last few years or you haven't been hidden under a rock and you're involved in digital marketing, then you'll know that a data layer is kind of key, and it's kind of the thing that is going to be driving your Google Analytics, driving your other marketing software, and also driving Google Tag Manager. So this tool is it's a free tool that I created, and it's to basically create the documentation. Because when I worked for a large media company, we spent hours writing out documentation on how to do this stuff. So I'm going to give you a very quick example of how you build a very basic data layer for a small website. So you'd come in, click on New Data Layer. I'm going to call it Small Website, and I'm going to go with minimal here. I don't want to use any of these pre-constructed ones. I'm just going to go with a very basic template. All right. So when you're in, you get to this screen. Admittedly, the interface is a bit clunky, but bear with me, and you will see the power. All right. So essentially, there are a couple of key things you need to know. First is the variables, and second are the pages. Now, the pages are the different types of page templates you have on your website. So all websites have pretty much are built on CMS systems, and there will be a specific number of templates on the site. So let's take a blog, for example. A blog will generally have a single article page. It will have a standard page, and maybe the homepage will be a bit different. If you take an e-commerce site, you will have a product page, you'll have a category page, you'll have the home page, you'll have uh, other pages, you'll have the basket page, you'll have the checkout pages, and the order confirmation page. So those would be 8 different templates. And the idea with the data layer is that on each of those different types of page template, you will have a different set of variables which tell you meta information about the page. So let's start in our minimal example. We've got a home page. I'm just going to pretend this is a very small site which has we're just going to do a product page example. Okay, so I'm building an e-commerce site, and I want to have data on each of my product pages that tells me what the product is, so that I can collect that information into Google Tag Manager. So here we go. I'm going to delete the home page because we don't need it. I'm going to create a new page called product. And if you wanted to test this out, you would put in the URL of your product page. I don't have one, so I'm just going to pretend it's this. Ooh, there we go, whatever that is. Okay, so there's my product page. And as you can see, we have no variables, we have no JavaScript. So our product page is blank. So I'm going to save that. And now what we have to do is we have to start loading some variables onto this page. So I'm going to head back to the variables tab. And again, I'm going to delete this environment variable because I don't need it for right now. And I'm going to create a new variable, and this is going to be called product ID. Okay, it's going to be a text variable. You can have numbers and lists, but we'll leave it as text. I'm going to leave this as required because I want to make sure the developers do always put this in. And the sample value is just to give the developers an idea. So let's say this product ID is called 1234, whatever. The ID of the product from the CMS system. Now here's where people get confused, right? This product ID, I'm not telling the developers how to get this product ID into the data layer. I'm just telling them it needs to be there. There needs to be a variable called product ID, and it needs to be filled with the variable. It is up to the developers to determine how to do this. So I'll give you a couple of examples of how that works as a marketer. So we'll save that. I'm going to head back to the product. And now we have product ID here, and I'm going to assign that, switch that on. Now that means that this variable, product ID, is assigned to this product. Okay, now if I head back over to the JavaScript, you'll see I now have a data layer. Admittedly, a very simple one, but it is a data layer nonetheless. And by default, the software includes the script that you would have on for Google Tag Manager. You don't have to use this variable. You can change that in settings. You can call it whatever you want. But for the moment, it is called, oops, where has it gone? There we go, data layer. And it also gives you this in tabular format in case you need that for the developers. So, all right, so you've done that. And now if we head back to the dashboard, you'll see that you get some documentation. And this documentation is what you would give to the developers, perhaps. Ooh. Let's just go back a sec. I just need to make sure that I saved that. All right, I'm going to save that. The server is a little bit slow at the moment, so I probably should be doing some upgrading on that. But there we go. Let's see what happens now. All right, so now it's saved. Here's the documentation, and you can see it says, okay, there's different pages. This is the page template product, and this is the data layer you need to put onto that page. So I would then copy this link, send it to the developers, and the developers could shove that into their browser without having to have a login, and it would give them the documentation. And the great thing about this is you don't have to email them all this stuff. You don't have to email spreadsheets and Excel files, because then when you make a change and they open the old version of the spreadsheet, your changes are not moved across. So this is to do that automatically. Once you make a change, the documentation is automatically updated. All right, so we've just got one ID, but this is a bit shit. So let's make another one. We're going to call it product name. All right, product name, and let's call it widget A. Again, I kind of want this required. I think it's going to be text and the name of the product. There we go. I'm going to save that. Head back to pages, to my product page, and again, here we go. Here's the new variable. I'm going to associate that with this page. So there we go. I've now got a data layer with two variables. All right, I'm hoping this is making sense. Hoping it's making sense. And now if we went back to the documentation, you will see the documentation is automatically updated. There are your comments, etc., etc. All right. So you're probably going, all right, that's fair enough, but how do we get this? How do the developers actually put this onto the website? All right, so this isn't a development tutorial. And if you're a marketer watching this, that might seem like magic. How are they going to get this onto the site? But I'll give you a very high level overview of what happens. When you make a request from your web browser for a particular page on a website, that request is sent to the web server. The web server works out from the URL what page it should be serving up. It builds the HTML, and then including JavaScript, and then it returns all that HTML and JavaScript back to your browser. So it's at that point on the server where the page is being constructed that the developers would ensure that these values are populated correctly. Okay, so if you go to any product page, so I'm on Muscle Food here, which is a great website, by the way. So let's have a look at this product. All right, so this is a product page. So this is the equivalent of what I've been talking about with my page product template. Okay, so here it is. Now, the developers have already had to know the name of the product because they've had to insert it into this page. So when this page is being rendered, this is automatically populated. And if they can automatically populate this, then guess what? They can automatically populate this at the same time. Okay, so when the page comes back, the HTML comes back to your browser, bang, you've got the data layer right there. So I hope that all makes sense. So let's say now we have a another page. Let's just do another page quickly. I'm going to create another page called, well, let's say, let's call it the home page. Obviously, I don't want any of these product variables on there because the home page doesn't have a product. But one thing that's very useful to have in a data layer is a page type variable. So I'm going to create this page type. And the value can be various things, but in this case, we've got two options, right? It can either be should be set to either, we'll assume this is a very basic website with just a home page, or a product page. So these are the only two possible values that this could be. Now there's a little feature here. Static means that the variable the variable is not expected to change, right? It has to be one of these. So I'm going to put in that it has to be home or product. This pipe symbol is a regular expression. It means or. So I will come back to what this means, but if it's confusing you, don't worry about it. It's more of an advanced feature. Excuse me. All right, so we have page type. Now, let's go back to our product page. Our product page does not have a page type yet, so I'm going to turn that on. And actually, in this case, the expected value should be product, so I'm going to overwrite that. Okay, now let's have a look at the JavaScript. There we go. Page type should be set to product. All is well in the world. Now let's head back over to the home page. Home page, again, we don't need product ID, we don't need product name, but I'm going to turn on page type. All right, and again, I'm going to overwrite this variable. I want to make sure that it's set to home. So this data layer is even simpler. All right, on the home page, we just got page type home. Perfect. Now, all done. Let's have a look at our docs. The simplest data layer in the world is born. Okay, not quite the simplest because we've got quite a few variables, but you know what I mean. So there it is. We have one product page, one home page. We send this link off to the devs implement it, and we are done. So now I'm gonna show you what happens. This is the process. You create this data layer based on the stuff that you're going to need need to know for your tags to fire. The next step is to make sure that all of this information is pulled into Google Tag Manager. So let's do that now. All right, guys, so I'm back and I'm in my Google Tag Manager account, and I'm going to assume you've already got a, I'm going to call it fakesite.com. All right, I'll assume you've already got a container on your website. This isn't a Google Tag Manager tutorial exactly. It's more of a data layer tutorial, but you will have that tag on every page of your website. And remember, we've only got two pages. We've got the home page and the product page. All right. So next, what do we do? All right. The first thing is we've got these variables on the pages, right? We know that three variables exist: product ID, product name, and page type. So those are the ones I want to set up in GTM. So head over to the variables tab, and I'm going to create a new variable. Now, I have a little convention. I'm used to working on big accounts where there are hundreds of variables. So to keep things organized, I like to prefix my variable names with where the data is coming from. In this case, we're picking up the data from the data layer, so I use the dl dot syntax. So whenever I see a variable starting with DL, I know it's coming from the data layer. And then I use the exact same variable name that is in the data layer. Same name, same case, same everything. So here we go. I'm going to do dl.productID. Where does this come from? Well, the data layer. And I'm going to put it in there, product ID, perfect. And it really is as simple as that. Now, when the page of the website loads, guess what? This variable is going to be populated with whatever the developers put in here. In this case, 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool, right? All right, so let's create another one. Let's go dl.productName. Remember the case, very important. And data layer variable, product name, bish bash bosh, done. And the final one, we have, what did we do? dl.page type, I think it was. Let's have a check. Perfect. And the great thing about this is you can be doing your GTM setup while the devs are implementing this. Because we've got these docs, everyone is working to the same standard, which means that you can set all this shit up in GTM before they've even done the implementation. How cool is that? And you just sit back, you chill out with your feet on your desk, and all is good. All right, you probably don't put your feet on your desk because you might want to get fired, but I'm at home and I can do that, so whatever. All right, page type, bang. We have now got 3. Is everyone happy? Is everyone ecstatic? All right, that is good. So now here comes, I'm going to do a few cool little things here. I'm going to first create a universal analytics tag. Now I don't have I'm going to put in a fake one here. I don't know what this is. I'll probably come back and create a real one, but for the moment, there we go. And this is going to fire on all pages. And again, I'm a bit funny when it comes to naming. I like everything to be nice and neat. So I always call my tags. They always start with a can't speak, but a gag. All right, calm down, guys. Calm down. All right, we've got Google Analytics. That's a shit name, isn't it? All right, I'm going to call it. All right, what I'm trying to do here is normally I have a 3-letter code for all my tags. So AdWords would be ADW. Facebook would be for a Facebook conversion tag, it would be FBC. So for my Google Analytics tags, I'm going to put Goa like that. There we go. I just made that one up. Normally I put GA, but then I'll be breaking my own convention. So whatever. This is a Google-based tag. Bang. Perfect. All right. Now, this is obviously the crappiest implementation ever, and whether you get any real value from this is questionable. But there we go. That's what the person wanted. All right. So now, this is where things get interesting. Let's say that I want to do some content grouping. So I want to be able to group my pages by page type. So I want to know how many people at the whole site visited my product pages versus my homepage. Now, rather than go in and do some funny manipulation of URLs and go, if the URL contains /product or all that shit, which takes ages, I'm going to create a content group within GA. So here we go. All right, guys, so here I am back in my fake shop property. This is the property we're going to be using. And just to make this a bit more realistic, I am going to take my UA number from here, and I'm going to plonk it into my tracking ID right here. And we are good to go. Now, the keen people among you will know that this is bad practice. In theory, we should be creating a variable. But you know what? I can't be bothered to do that. So for the moment, I'm just going to leave it in there. All right, content grouping. What were we doing? Blah, blah, blah. All right, here we go. I would go to content grouping. Now, I've already got a page type variable in here, so I'm going to... I've already created a page type. Look at me, I'm ahead of myself. All right, I've created a page type variable here. This is enabled, and it's slot number 1. That's all you need to know. Slot number 1, keep that number in your head, 11111. All right, head back to your Google tag. Go down to advanced settings. Oh, no, not advanced. It's not advanced. It's more settings. Content groups. You're going to add a content group. And the index, remember the number we were thinking of? 1. Why 1? Remind you, because this is in slot 1. Right, slot 1. And what's the value going to be? Well, guess what? The value is going to be page type. And there we go. You have now created content grouping, woohoo, within GA. All through a very simple process. So let me recap what we've done here. We used Data Layer Doctor to create our variables and our pages. We assigned a page type variable to each of our pages. And this you can see, page type product and page type home. I then went into Google Tag Manager and I created a variable for each of those variables, which means that data is being pulled off the website into here. And then I created a tag and I use those variables to do some cool shit. Now, you can take this a step further. Let's say we want to track the a product ID. All right, product ID is not something you typically track. So I would come in here. I would create. Look, I've got shitloads already, but I would create a custom dimension, new custom dimension, product ID. Now, you might think this needs to be product scope, but I'm going to tell you it needs to be hit scope. I haven't got time to go into that why that's going to be, but just trust me on that one. It's going to be product ID, and this, you can see I've been given the dimension slot of number 9. Number 9, product ID. What do I do now? I go back into my GA tag. I come down here. I don't want content grouping. I want custom metrics, custom dimensions even, sorry. I put in index of 9, and the dimension value is going to be, guess what? Oop. Oh no, product ID. Bang, save. We are done. You see how easy it is. So now you're getting into the real fun stuff with GA, right? You're not just tracking page views and blah blah blah, boring, right? You're tracking some actual things which might make your reporting easier and might make you be able to take action on the thing. Why? Because someone might go, "Wow, which of my products is doing better? Which of my product IDs? I want a list of product IDs and I want to know which are doing better." And you've just done that. You've just done that in literally, I don't know how long I've been talking for, probably too long, but in a couple of minutes, you've done that. So I hope that's given you a very quick overview of how the data layer and GTM and they all kind of fit together. Now, something I should say about this, if you want to use Data Layer Doctor, you absolutely can. You need to go to app.datalayerdoctor.com. Now, if you try and go to datalayerdoctor.com, the website, the front end website is basically down and it's gone. I don't know what the hell's happened, but it's gone down. So you will need to go to app.datalayerdoctor.com. Another thing, you will then get a security warning saying that the SSL certificate has expired. It has. That's something I'm working on renewing. But there will be a list. There'll be a little button you can press that says, yeah, go anywhere. I promise you this is not a spam site and I'm not trying to rip you off. It is a genuine site, and then you just need to follow the create account process. It's very, very straightforward, and then you can have a play around and create some documentations. Anyway, that is it. Please do leave me some feedback. What other stuff you want me to talk about? Anything to do with GA, GTM, data layers, I will be happy to talk. So there we go. Enjoy playing.